Shadows of the attic. The attic air hung thick and cloying, a miasma of dust and decay clinging to Elara's throat. Gaslight flickered, painting grotesque shadows that writhed and pulsed with a life of their own. She lay on the threadbare rug, the chill seeping not just into her bones, but into her very soul. Memories weren't fragments, they were shards of glass, jagged and painful, slicing through the fog of her amnesia. Blinding white light, a crushing weight on her chest, the sensation of drowning not in water, but in something else. Then, oblivion. A whisper, a rasping breath against her ear, broke the suffocating silence. Elara, the voice, a dry rustle of dead leaves, sent shivers down her spine that had nothing to do with the cold. She couldn't see him at first, only the encroaching darkness, heavy with the scent of mildew and something else, something metallic and sickeningly sweet. He materialized slowly, a figure sculpted from the shadows themselves, gaunt and impossibly tall. His face was a mask of darkness, yet his eyes, twin points of burning coal, pierced the gloom, boring into her very being. He didn't extend a hand. He offered it, a skeletal claw reaching out, beckoning her to an abyss she couldn't comprehend. "You have a task," he hissed, his voice like nails scraping across a chalkboard. "A vital one. You must find him." The emphasis on the pronoun felt like a physical blow. His life, and the sanity of countless others, depends on it. He pressed a slip of paper into her palm. Not a phone number, but a single address, scrawled in what looked like dried blood. A wave of nausea, sharp and visceral, threatened to overwhelm her. This wasn't just a task, it was an unholy pact. "This is all you will receive," he rasped, his voice a death knell. "Trust not your senses, but the whispers within. Find him, and pray you survive." Then he was gone, swallowed by the shadows, leaving Elara alone with the chilling certainty that something monstrous was watching her, something that lurked not just in the darkness of the attic, but in the deepest recesses of her own mind. The address felt cold, alien, imbued with an evil that pulsed with a disturbing familiarity. Was she truly meant to find this person? Or was this her own madness given form, a terrifying hallucination designed to lead her to her own destruction? The line between sanity and horror blurred, a terrifying precipice on which she teetered, each heartbeat a countdown to her descent into a nightmarish unknown. The number felt wrong, alien. Not just the digits themselves, but the feeling of them. A cold, oily slickness clinging to her fingertips. It wasn't a phone number, it was a code, a key, unlocking a door she didn't want to open. Elara stared at it, the charcoal smudge blurring further, mirroring the blurring lines of her own sanity. Was this real? A genuine plea for help? A desperate cry in the darkness? Or a cruel trick, a hallucination conjured from the depths of her own fractured mind? A cruel game played by a malevolent entity that reveled in her fear? The attic's oppressive silence pressed down on her. The dust motes seemed less like motes and more like tiny, watchful eyes following her every move. A shiver that had nothing to do with the cold snaked its way down her spine. It wasn't just the cold. It was a premonition, a gut-wrenching certainty that something was watching her, something unseen, something that fed on fear. She pressed the number into her palm. The rough texture of the paper grated against her skin, a physical manifestation of her internal turmoil. Her heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic drumbeat in the suffocating silence. To call was to acknowledge the reality of this terrifying situation, to admit that this wasn't a nightmare, wasn't a figment of her imagination. It meant stepping into the unknown, into a world of shadows and whispers, a world where the lines between sanity and madness were so thin they were practically non-existent.